Welcome back to Kidsplaining. I'm Daniel, this is Allison, and today we are going to tell you all about Power Plants from Kids Table Board Gaming, which you can find on Kickstarter now.
In Power Plants, players take on the role of wizards, growing a garden of magical plants with their rivals. During the game, you'll be adding new patches to the garden and using their powers, gathering gems, and deploying your team of sprites to repel the other wizards and control the most valuable fields when the garden is complete.
So Power Plants is a tile-laying area control game where you will be adding tiles to this garden. A group of tiles is a field, and at the end of the game, you are going to score based on which fields you control, and that is shown in this right here. So the value of the field depends on how many patches, which are the tiles, are in the field, and you can have multiple separate fields of the same kind. It's just however many connected patches are there determines the size of the field, and you score for that. Now there are 8 plants total, but each game you're going to play with 5.
So what you do is every player has 2 tiles that they draw from the bag at the beginning of the game. You have a choice of playing one of those 2 tiles. Those are your patches that you add to the garden. When you add to the garden, you place it, you take the wizard, you add that. Most of the tiles allow you to then add your sprite to it, and then you can either choose to plant that patch or you can grow it.
Yes. Now, when you plant it, you are going to activate the patch that you just placed. When you grow it, you are going to activate all of the patches that are touching that patch, but not the patch you just placed.
Correct.
So if you get a setup like this, now it is a rule, the patch that you place has to be able to slide in. So if somehow you have an open spot, you couldn't place it there. So if it was like this, I couldn't put it there because it can't slide in. But when you get something like this, and you can slide that patch in there, you now get to activate 4 separate tiles instead of 1.
Right.
Now the planting powers are more powerful than the growing powers, but when you plant, you only activate 1. When you grow, you activate 2, 3, up to 4, I think is the most that you could get with 1.
And because each action is so unique, that's when your strategy comes in, because you can really feel out. Now, when you are controlling the area, it's just that patch. You can have 3 sprites on one patch, but you're still only controlling one patch.
Yes.
What you're wanting is to control the majority of the patches in that field to get that majority points at the end of the game.
That is a very important point that is very easy to lose sight of when you play, that it doesn't matter
how many sprites
you have. It doesn't matter how many sprites you have in the field. It matters how many patches you control. And at the end of the game, if there is a tie, you'll notice these tiles are numbered. Whoever controls the lowest numbered tile in that field controls the field if there's a tie for the number of tiles.
Yes.
So
I will say, strategically, it's easier for the last player. I say easier. It is more beneficial. It can be.
She's only saying that because I destroyed.
Not just you.
Yeah.
All the boys, everyone I've played with.
The one I was present for. So the wing bean, this blue one right here allows you to move other tiles.
It's a very cool action.
So we had a game where I would say in that game, if we had played with any other plant other than the wing bean,
I probably would have won it.
First player would have won because from the get-go, she was adding sprites. My whole game was spent trying to undo her massive army of sprites. But then, and it wasn't set up like this, but you'll have to use your imagination. Then on my last turn, I went second. On my last turn, I was able to remove her tile, separate her control of it, but without breaking up. I removed 1 tile from it, so I think it was positioned where I could move 1 tile and take it from a 7-tile field to a 6-tile field that I now controlled.
It won the game.
It won the game for me. So there are a lot of levels of strategy to what appears to be a very simple game. But you can also win on luck, which is great for kids.
I played a 3-player game with both boys. I was playing strategically, and so was Jared. Peyton, we were playing with the Starflower. Starflower, where you place it, say we've got all these sprites out here, okay? Where you place it, the plant action, you get a gem, which that's the points at the end. You get a gem for every sprite next to the patch with the wizard on it. You place it, you put the wizard. So he was adding up points during the game, adding up rubies and gems during the game when we were focused on area control. So he got like triple my points. Jared got, I think it was 40 something, and Jared had 30 something, and I had like 17.
Yeah, I wasn't home for that. Apparently, Jared also pulled a last move, destroy her area control.
I have yet to win it, but I'm really charmed by this game, I have to say.
Now, in just a second, we're going to actually play through. We're going to set up a game and play through so you can kind of... We've explained how it plays, but it really helps and kind of clicks once you see it played.
Yeah.
So we're going to play a few rounds of it and then go through scoring so you can understand that. But first, Jared really wants to share his thoughts on it. So he is going to come in and share his thoughts on power plants, and then Allison and I are going to play through a few rounds for you.
Yep. Okay, so the last game we played was a 3-player. And Jared, what were your thoughts on that last game that we played?
Well, in the last game that we played, I realized your strategy changes so much based on the different plants you have.
You played it pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah, I used a strategy. I used the fright shades to move Mommy's sprites into one area and get gems for that. But she didn't realize that I was moving them all into one area to then control it with one of my sprites on a lower number tile.
He ended up putting like 5 of my sprites on one tile, which was a higher tile. Now, Adino had mentioned earlier that if there's a tie, the person that controls the lower numbered tile, because they've got numbers on them, they win the tie. He did that.
So I made it so that it looked like she was winning by putting 5 sprites on one thing, and I had no sprites on that. No one had any other sprites on that. And then at the end of the game, I used a deep root and gained control of 2 things. One with Peyton on it, where I had 1 sprite, and the one with Mommy on it, which she was like getting ready to control and win the game with.
I still have yet to win this game.
Yeah, she got 20.
No, I got 17.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really low. I think you had 40 something.
43.
And then Peyton had like 32. It was, they wiped the table with me. So what are your thoughts on Power Plant as a whole?
I really like how your strategy changes so much based on your plants. I think the plant that I like the most is the Snapjaw.
Why is that?
Because I can capture your own sprites
Yes.
and make it so that I can take them and then make you lose by taking all of your sprites.
The Snapjaw is like a Snapdragon type or a Flytrap type of plant. And so with that one, the actions are you can capture a lone sprite on a neighboring patch. And so at the end of the game with that one, the owner of that sprite color has to pay a gem in order to get their sprite back at the end.
They must.
They must.
It says it on the thing.
Yes.
All players must. Something else that I think is pretty interesting is that there's so many ways to earn points. You can't just say, okay, well, this is a worse way to earn points, so I'm not going to do this, because they're all pretty even.
I will say with Peyton, it was a lot of reading at the beginning with Peyton and understanding. It wasn't until probably your second and third game that you really understood, especially when you haven't played all the plants yet, when you understand what each action does. And so I think Peyton felt a little underhanded. He is 8, so it was a little bit challenging for him just because of the reading, but he's picked up on it. We've played 6 games so far, and he's, like I said, he dominated me in the last game. So it's obviously not an issue anymore now that he understands the actions of the plant and grow of each plant.
Something else is that the artwork is like...
It's fun! I really, really like it.
I mean, like, the honey leaf looks pretty cool. Same with like the deep root, how it shows how deep the roots go.
Kids Table Board Game are notorious for having really good components and really awesome artwork. These, obviously this is a prototype, but I believe in the end, these aren't going to be hexagons. They're going to be like almost like pinwheel looking things.
Yeah, they're going to be patches.
That connect together, not like Legos or anything, but they just kind of slide in place the way these do, but a little bit more unique to make that component unique. Also, the rubies or gems at the end, those tiles will look a little bit different, and then you'll actually have sprites, and the wizard is going to be a wizard meeple. I think that is so cool. So this is just the prototype, so those things will change to be even better.
It's still fun though.
Yeah, really, really like it. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yes.
Okay.
it's really cool and interesting how you really want to make a bigger field, but there's some areas where you want to make your own little patch field.
Well, Peyton kept making different little patches that only he controlled and ended up, that's just one point, but he kept doing that and using that action to gain points. So he'd get that point at the end of the game, but then he also was doing that to gain points throughout the game. So that was, I like that strategy as well.
You want to get a bigger field to where you get more points if you're first player, but that's a little dangerous because then other people can just control the lower tile on that. So you want to make sure if you are controlling it, have more sprites on the lower numbered tile in case of a tie.
I always forgot to look at those numbers. I tell you what, we play again tonight. I need to win this game.
Yes, she does.
I really, really want to win this game. Okay, so that's Jared's thoughts on power plants. And now Daniel and I are going to play a few rounds and let you kind of have a feel of how those rounds play. And do you want to pick out the plants that we're going to help me pick those out, set up?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we are going to play through a game so you can see how Power Plants actually plays now that we've told you about it. And you got to hear from Jared about what he likes about it. So we have the game set up here. Like I said, there's 8 different plants, but in a game you're going to play with 5 of those. And you'll notice this logo on the top. We have morning, afternoon, and evening plants. It's best to play with a good mix of those, but you can play with any plants you want. But it balances best with a good mixture of morning, afternoon, and evening. And all of the tiles are numbered 1 through 8. In a 2-player game, you take out the 7 and 8s. I believe in a 3-player game, you take out just the 8s. And in a 4 and 5-player game, you play with all the tiles. So we are taking out, these are the 7 and 8s for the 5 plants that have been randomly chosen. And then you take the highest number that's remaining, and that's your starting tiles, and you just randomly make a set of tiles to start with.
Yep, that's your starting garden.
And then these all go in the bag. Give it a good mix up, and then you take out 3. These are your reserve tiles. If you ever draw
doubles,
you can swap them with one of those.
Right. You can. You don't have to.
Yeah. And then we each draw 2 tiles to start with. So I have a wing bean and a honey leaf.
I have a starflower and a deep root.
Why don't you go first?
You don't want to rock, paper, scissors it? Let's rock, paper, scissors.
We can. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay. You go first.
You go first. I won. I pick. You go first.
No, you like going last.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
You won.
So I'm going to take one of my 2 tiles. I'm going to put it in the garden, and then I'm going to decide whether I want to plant or grow. So I have my honey leaf. If I plant it, add 2 sprites to each patch next to the wizard that has 1 or 0 sprites in it. These are sprites, and if we haven't mentioned this yet, this is a prototype. These pieces are going to change in final production, but the gameplay will be, I believe the gameplay is pretty much nailed down. Gameplay is great, but prototype pieces may change. Okay, so I can either plant this and add 2 sprites to each patch that has 1 or 0 sprites in it, or I can grow it and add 1 sprite to each patch next to the wizard that has 1 or 0 sprites in it. That would be if I placed it here and grew this one. Or I can move any unlocked patch, meaning that it will slide out without, like if I put this here, this one is no longer unlocked because I can't slide it out. I can move any unlocked patch and return all rival sprites of the moving patch to the owner and gain 1 gem for each returned sprite. That would be a poor decision because there's no sprites out there. So I'm going to place this one here. I put the wizard on it to show that I have just placed that one. And then, so I can plant, I can add 2 sprites to each patch that has 1 or 0. Or I can grow and add 1. I'm going to go ahead and plant and add 2 sprites to this one. And 2 sprites to this one. You will notice this one has this icon right here that shows that it does not get a sprite on itself. So that's why I didn't put one there.
Correct.
And now Allison gets the wizard and it's her turn.
Okay. Now I have a deep root, which if I plant this, I can add 2 sprites to 1 patch and 1 sprite in a different patch that are both in the straight line from the wizards for where I plant it. regardless of distance. So I can do it across the entire garden.
I forgot to draw. If you watch any of our live streams, that's not surprising.
Okay. Anyways, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put it here. So this is growing this field here, right? And I am actually going to plant it. Now, because it has this icon here, that means when I plant it, when I put it on into the garden, I go ahead and add my sprite to it.
Regardless of whether you plant or grow, just when it gets added, if it shows the green icon, then when it gets added to the garden, it plants, or it gets a sprite on it.
Okay, because I planted it, I'm going to add 2 sprites to one patch and 1 sprite to a different patch that are both in a straight line from the wizard. So here's the wizard, and I'm going to add 1 sprite here, and my 2 sprites are going to add here. Well, what that does is these sprites duke it out, and they evenly scare each other off. Yeah. No one dies.
Yeah, you can never have 2 people on the same plant. So if you ever are told to add a sprite to a patch that already has someone else's sprites on it, you just, for each sprite you're told to add, you take it away. Now, if she had an action that said to move this sprite, and she wanted to move it there, then both of these would go away.
Correct.
Because it's moving, it has to move there, and then they duke it out and they send each other home.
Okay, so now the wizard goes back to Daniel, and I'm going to draw another patch.
Yep. Okay, so I am going to place this here. This is the snap jaw.
That's the one that captures.
Yes. So I'm going to place this here. Again, it does get a sprite on it. Now I'm going to grow. So I am going to grow this one. I'm going to add 1 sprite to each patch next to the wizard that has 1 or 0 sprites in it. That's only this one.
Now the reason he is growing the honey leaf first before he does the snapjaw is because you grow in order of the day ranking. So you, no matter where it's at, where it is in this order here is where you grow.
You grow morning, afternoon, evening. If you have 2 morning or 2 afternoon or 2 evening, you can choose which of those to do.
Oh, I didn't read that.
But yes, you do grow morning, afternoon, evening.
So you do have an order to your growth, and that can add or take away from the strategy as well.
And I have found that actually is really helpful because a lot of the earlier ones kind of let you get stuff on the board, and the later ones tend to be more maneuvering or doing things.
Yeah, they do.
So now I'm going to grow this snapjaw where I capture 1 lone rival sprite from a patch next to the growing snapjaw. I'm going to capture this one. Now, instead of giving it back to Allison, I'm capturing it. Now, the snapjaw is unique because it has end-game scoring. So after field scoring, meaning after you've done all of the other scoring in the game, all players have to buy back their captured sprites at a cost of 1 gem each.
Yep.
And I don't think none of these that we're using put gems on the board. There are some plants that actually, as part of their action, will add a gem to the board. And then whoever...
Quite a few, some of them.
Yeah, whoever controls that tile at the end of the game would get that gem. That's how that works. But, oh, no. The Starflower does add gems to the board. So we will demonstrate that. So, but my turn is done. I captured 1 sprite, and I added that. I'm going to draw, and it's your turn.
And no, you gain. You're not planting.
Oh, she's right. You gain 1 gem from the supply for each sprite in the patches next to the wizard. So yeah, so we don't have any here that actually put gems on the board, but there are some that do, as their action, put gems on the board.
I could pull a Peyton move and get some gems because he really likes the Starflower, because where you plant it or where you put it, if you plant it, you get gems for each sprite on the patches around it.
Regardless of whose they are.
Correct. So that would be a benefit there if I planted it there. The Wing Bean, I really like this one too, but towards the end of the game is really when I like using this one. The Wing Bean is really good for breaking up or restructuring gardens. I think I am going to go ahead and do this just to go ahead and get some. It doesn't, the problem with putting it here is it doesn't add to this field here, which again, it says area control, and you can have as many sprites. He still is just controlling 2 here. even though he has 3 sprites, because he's only controlling one, or one each. So if I put this here, that adds to that for area control, versus if I put it here, that doesn't add to that field. But I'm going to go ahead and do that and go ahead and gain, I'm planting it. So I'm going to move the wizard here. And because it has this symbol here, that means I do add a sprite when I plant that, when I put it into the garden. And then I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 gems. I'm going to gain those from the supply. So it's a 2, and then 3, and that's just going to go over here in my area. And that's my turn. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to draw one.
Okay. So now we're going to play through the next few rounds, and we will pop back in if anything exciting happens. Otherwise, we're going to just play through so we can show you the end game scoring, because I believe we've demonstrated all of the... We haven't demonstrated the wing bean yet.
We'll come back and show you that one.
We've shown what all of the other ones we're using do. So we're going to run through the next few rounds and pop back in closer to the end of the game.
Yep.
So we're going to pop back in really quick. So this, I think, is a good example of how powerful the grow can be. So I'm going to plant this right here. I'm going to add this right here, add my wizard, and now I'm going to grow around it. So growing this, it says to add 1 sprite to each patch next to the wizard that has 1 or 0 sprites in it. So
you do add 1 sprite
yes,
there.
I
anyways.
do add 1 sprite there anyways. So then I'm going to do that. Because even though I'm just growing this, I add 1 to each one next to the wizard that has 1 or 0. Now I activate this one and I do it again to all 3 of these.
Yep.
And now I gain 1 gem from the supply for each patch next to the supply, or next to the wizard that has at least 1 sprite in it. So I get now 3 gems from the supply, all from growing instead of planting from that.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so Allison, after this turn, we'll have 2 rounds left. So you play until you've drawn everything from the bag, and then you play 1 more round. So everyone ends the game with one tile
holding
left
1
over,
tile.
unless it's a 5-player game, and then you play through all of the tiles. So Allison is about to take my patch of Snapjaws because I see what she's about to do.
It's always nice to look and see when you can slide in to have 4 patches here.
Yeah.
So I'm able to slide right in here like that.
And are you going to plant or grow?
I'm going to plant. Now, because it has that icon, I do not add a sprite to that. But when I plant, I can add 2 sprites to each patch next to the wizard that has 1 or 0 sprites on it.
And remember, if you add where mine already are, that means each one you add removes one of mine
So I'm
in
adding
place
to
of
here.
adding. So
Adding 2 here, that these 2 duke it out.
yep, those 2 cancel each other.
And then I'm going to add 2 here, and these 2 duke it out.
Yep. But she's left now controlling those 3 instead of me controlling that area.
It is your turn.
So I am going to come in right there.
You're going to plant, you're going to grow.
I'm going to grow.
So you're going to start with the starflower.
So I can, from here, I can capture 1 lone
Hold on,
rival.
you're starting with the starflower.
Oh yeah, start with Starflower.
Yeah.
So gain 1 gem from the supply for each patch next to the wizard that has at least 1 sprite. That would be 1, 2. So I gain 2 gems. I love that they have 2 gem tokens.
It's nice. Anyways.
That makes gemming so much easier.
Gemming.
Okay, so now I'm going to grow my Snapjaw where I capture 1 lone rival sprite
Next to that snapjaw.
from a patch next to the growing Snapjaw. So I'm going to take this one.
Now capture it.
I capture it, so she has to buy it back from me at the end of the game. I now control this patch again.
Yeah.
And now I need to grow this wing bean. Add 1 sprite to the growing wing bean.
Which takes off my,
which takes off
control over
hers.
that. So no one controls that one.
And then move it any 1 unlocked patch except the wizard's to any other spot not next to the wizard. So I'm just going to take this one and move it over here to grow that patch more to get more in-game scoring. So that is the end of my turn. I need to draw.
I guess that's a field.
Yes.
Each of these are patches.
Yep. So there's now 1 more tile left in the bag.
Okay, so I'm going to put that patch right there. Put the wizard here. I can add a sprite there. And I'm going to go ahead and grow. So I start with deep root. We're going to start with this one here. It says to add one sprite to one patch that is in a straight line from the wizard regardless of distance. I have 2 of those, so I'm going to go ahead and do them at the same time. I'm going to straight line here. I'm going to take him off there. And I'm just going to do that same one again so that I'm controlling that patch. Because again, it's how many you're on, how many patches you're on that controls the field, not how many sprites you have. So, okay, and then I have this one. I'm growing this one, and it's add one sprite to the growing wing bean. So I'm going to add this here, which cancels him out. And then I get to move any unlocked patch, and everything that's on it goes with it. So let's see, what am I going to do here? What would be more beneficial? I'm going to move this one. We're just going to move him on over here. The reason I'm doing that is because right now we're tied because we both are area controlling one patch each, but if you notice he has the 6 here and I have the 1. So if it would end right here like that, I would win the tie because I'm on the lower number patch. So that's why I did that. Okay, that was my turn.
Yep.
This is the last patch.
I'm going to... Oh, this is my last turn.
Yes, it is.
I need to think about that. I thought I had one more turn left after this. Okay.
Nope, this is your last one.
So I am going to go in here.
Maybe. There he goes.
Okay. So I'm going to do the...
You gotta put... Hold on.
Yeah,
put the wizard.
gotta put the wizard.
And your sprite.
And my sprite. I do the deep root first, which lets me add one sprite in a straight line.
Where are you going to knock me off?
I'm going to go... No, that won't help me.
Won't it?
No, I'm going to go right here. Cancel that one out.
Okay.
Okay. No, oh, wait, no. No, I don't like that.
Why? Hold on. Why do
I
you
don't
not
like that? Because that cost me 2 tokens because I now removed one from this.
That's
and
true.
my next thing is to activate those and get stuff for people next to the wizard that have it. So I'm going to put that back on there.
Okay.
And decide. Now, doing stuff here doesn't do me any good because... Oh, maybe it does.
Actually, it does.
I know,
Let me explain.
I got it.
Okay.
I'm going to take that off there.
Well, hold on. How are you going to take that off?
So I'm going to place this one there. They duke it out and do that. Now, now I am going to grow these 2, which gets me 1 gem for each tile next to the wizard that has at least 1 sprite. So that's 4 times 2. That gets me 8
twice. So
because that's
1,
fracturing
2,
both of
3,
these.
8. There you go.
Okay, and now.
Oh man!
I can use this to capture 1 lone rival sprite from a patch next to the growing Snapjaw. I'm going to do this one.
Now, we are tied here, but he's
I'm
on the 1.
So I now control this one. Now, she may be able to get back control.
I don't know. I need to think about it for a second. I think I can. Okay, so here's this. Oh, I don't know. I wanted to add here. Or capture you, because we're tied here, and you're on the 2, I'm on 4, and there's a 6. So you still would win that tie. You control this one. I control that. You're still in the lead here.
I mean, if you go there, you have a straight line. Not that I want you to win, but
no.
Strategically, you get to add in a straight line if you grow.
I actually am going to do that. Okay, I'm going to do this. So I can add a sprite here. So at least I control that 1 patch. So I'm going to grow. So I'm going to go ahead and grow my deep root first, which growing, I add 1 sprite to a patch in a straight line.
Doesn't really matter which one you do.
It doesn't, because they're both 4.
And because I don't have the ability to remove anything anymore.
Right, although that's a 2. So, yeah. Okay, I'll just do that.
Why are you doing that?
No.
No.
Yeah.
That would be a better move.
This is the better move.
Yes, that is the better move.
Okay, yeah, because you don't get any points for that.
Right.
Okay. I was
You get points for first and second place. So that now completely removes me from that.
Right. Okay. So now this one, growing my wing bean, I add 1 sprite to the growing wing bean. So that's nice. And then I also get to move any unlocked. So let me see here. I think I'm going to do this.
Now that's going to cost you points.
How is that going to cost me?
Because you're changing that from a 4-patch to a 3-patch.
So what's nice about these cards here is on the back, it shows you the field side, your first place, and your second place. So anytime I'm like, okay, well, would it be worth it to me? 3 patches, if I get 5 points for 3 patches. If I have 4 patches and I'm first place, then I get 7, but if I'm second place, I get 3.
You're not changing me at all because you're gonna make me a lone patch. I'm gonna get 1 for my lone patch.
That's true.
And 2 for my second place in the 3-patch versus getting 3 for. So doing that, you would cost me nothing, but you would cost yourself 2.
Let me see. What do I do here?
Yeah, that's a good enough move.
To move here?
Mm-hmm.
I think I might do that.
Okay, so that is the game.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have our gems that we earned during the game.
Now,
I have a few more.
Yeah. And he has captured a few of my sprites, so I already know I'm going to owe him, 4 at the end of the game. But before we do that, see, we do have 2 end games. So this is the end game, and this is after field scoring, which means after we do this. So we'll do that after. This one
is before the field scoring.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the way the wing bean scores, each wing bean patch.
Oh, that would have gotten me more points there.
Oh yeah, it would have. Earns gems for the player controlling it. 1 gem per unique plant type next to the patch.
Mm-hmm.
So for this one, she's going to score 1. For this one, she's going to score 1, 2, 3, because this is a unique plant type next to it. It doesn't specify that another wing bean doesn't count.
I'll take it.
And then for this one, she's going to score 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
So that
helped.
So what was that? 7 or 8 points that you got from right there? I lost count. So now the way that they recommend you score, the way it guides you to in the book, is take all the unused tiles and go ahead and put them back in the bag. And then just to score 1 patch at a time.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one because there's no one on it, and it's just the soul, so nothing is from that one.
Here, I'll hold this over here.
Okay.
Get out of the way. So this one, and we're going to use this we have right here. So this is 1 patch. I control it. I get 1 gem.
There you go.
Goes back in the bag. This one, Allison controls it. She gets 1 gem. For this one, Allison controls it.
That's 4.
There's 4. She gets 7. I don't have any because she messed me up. So I don't get any second place for that. You remove it so that it's out of the way.
This, I control all 3. So 3 patches is 5 points.
Yep.
No one controls this one. It's a soul by itself.
This one has 3. We're tied. Again, the number of sprites doesn't matter. It's just how many tiles we control. Mm-hmm. But Allison is on the lower tile, so she wins it. So she gets 5. I get 2.
Here's your 2. Here's my 5. You kicked my sprite off.
Okay, so on this one, we're
tied, but you were on the lower one.
We have 2, 6, 4, and 5. I'm on the 2, so I get 7. She gets 3.
Okay. I may have to reduce my... I'm going to turn in a couple of these.
This one I get 1 for my single.
Okay, this one.
This one is 6. I control it, so I get 11. She gets 5.
Okay. That's a big swing there.
Yep. So now...
And now
that is the scoring, and we
end game for this one.
Yes. So you owe me 4. Remember, I captured sprites. You didn't capture any of mine, did you?
I did not.
Okay. So she has to buy those back, and now we total up our gems and see who won. Okay, so
we got 10, 20, 37.
And I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 45, 46, 47. So
still haven't won the game, but I want to play again.
Yeah, really fun game. We have really enjoyed playing this. Yeah, you can see it's got a lot of unique choices in it.
That's what I've really enjoyed about this is the choices that it makes you just think through.
Yeah.
And gosh, the other 3 plants that we could play with this would have had us making completely different decisions.
Yes.
And even
the combination of plants that you play with completely change the way you play. Again, whether you're trying to gather gems that grow on the plants or just control area or gather gems. I think the difference was pretty much that last move with the Starflower. I got 8 gems through that one move.
But that took stuff away from me too.
Yes.
At that same time.
Yep. But then I captured 4 of your sprites, which was another 8-point swing, because not only did I gain 4 gems, you lost 4 gems. So that's an 8-point swing total. So there's a lot of nuance to the strategy for this. And again, if we were playing with different plants, it would be a completely different game strategically.
Yeah, because of how you do the different planting, the different growing, it's different every time, and those combinations can do different things for your strategy as well.
And especially as you build like a long-term strategy to think just how you want to use the plants together, it really, again, it's a really, for the games we've played, a really unique mixture of that area control, kind of the action where it's not just...
But then there's that randomness, because you only have those 2 tiles in front of you, so long game strategy is kind of relative because you don't know what's coming next that you'll be able to play.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I really like being able to take a look at this game. Hopefully this overview and just walkthrough gives you a better idea of what Power Plants is and if it's something that would be a good fit for your family, something to back on Kickstarter.
Yep. So we will leave a link below to where you can find the Kickstarter and find more information about this. Again, our goal is to help you find games that are going to be a good fit for your family.
Exactly.
Hopefully this was helpful in helping you do that. So we'll leave the link below. While you're down there, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, find the bell, click that, hit the like button, all the things.
You can also check out a couple more of our videos right over here. We will see you later.
Bye.